Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chair Hoover, for being here. Appreciate your work and your guidance and information to us. I had two questions for you. One is to follow up on Delegate Spiegel's questions about energy prices. Everything that I heard you say reflected on national and global trends, as I recall, impacting the energy market. But that doesn't account for why it is that Maryland residential electricity and gas prices are higher than the national average. So I was hoping that you could help us understand why that is the case.
You know, the company will come in and ask for a certain amount of money. They never get exactly what they've asked for. You know, because we get independent recommendations from the Office of People's Counsel and our own technical staff as to what those things ought to be. We work through that list of items to determine what is the right cost on that, and then the final analysis comes with the rate of return. Some of that has actually been affected by interest rates and overall economic conditions, because these companies compete with other companies for capital from the investment community. And so, you know, they're entitled to, under the Supreme Court rulings, they're entitled to a fair rate of return in order to cover the investments that they make, both in money they borrow and in stock that they sell on the stock market. So there's a lot of moving pieces in the process. And, you know, unfortunately, to a large degree, it is impacted by national and international expenses. You know, at some point, those economic factors will change, and, you know, potentially rates could come down. I mean, that did happen in the early 80s as a result of the reductions in high interest rates from the late 70s.
And when you are analyzing and calculating that rate of return, does that take into account an analysis of those inflationary interest rate impacts on consumers who are similarly impacted by rising costs and interest rates? Or is it simply, is this a fair rate of return for the entity?
I mean, it's a balance that we undertake to try to, you know, the company's entitled to the, as I said, you know, the expenses that they incur to supply service and an opportunity to earn a fair rate of return. But implicit in that analysis is, in fact, the impact on customers. And so there are times in rate cases when we've done various things to try to ameliorate the impact of the cost impact. You know, there's things referred to as rate shock. So, you know, in a situation where it appears that things are going to be particularly high, we've tried to sort of spread the cost out over a time period that, you know, may delay to a certain degree the utility's recovery of it, but it ameliorates the impact on customers. And in fact, one of the proceedings we have ongoing right now at the Commission is an examination of creating potentially a lower rate for certain classes of customers that have this difficulty in paying the bill, that actually would be a little less than what some other customers are being charged, as a way of trying to deal with the energy burden question.
Okay, I appreciate that. Well, I would just say that I would implore you to do anything that you can to ameliorate those challenges to consumers, because as somebody who represents Baltimore City, I can tell you that I've received more concerning phone calls, emails, et cetera, from my constituents about rising energy costs than about public safety. Now, that might be partly a reaction to the incredible changes that the city has done with respect to the public safety issues that we have, but I think it's more than anything a response to the shock, as you put it, of price increases for, you know, average everyday residents.